Snake Eater Simulation. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater might actually be a VR simulation. At the game's opening, Major Zero tells Naked Snake he's about to embark on a virtuous mission. Snake immediately mishears this and asks, "Virtual mission?" Zero corrects him, but fans believe this slip reveals the truth. Throughout the game, if you kill certain characters or cause other timeline-breaking events, you get a game over screen with Campbell yelling about creating a time paradox. Why would time paradoxes matter in 1964 unless someone is reliving history through simulation? The theory gains more weight when you notice Metal Gear Rex's design appearing in Grannon's lab, decades before Otacon supposedly created it. These technological anachronisms suggest Snake Eater isn't showing the real past, but a VR reconstruction with errors and inconsistencies. Some fans argue Solid Snake experienced this simulation to better understand his father Big Boss before their final confrontation in Metal Gear Solid 4. Raiden never escaped. Despite Metal Gear Solid 2's ending suggesting Raiden achieved free will, he may have never actually escaped Patriot control. Throughout the Big Shell incident, the Patriots orchestrated every single event to create a soldier matching Solid Snake. GW manipulated Raiden perfectly, predicting his every choice. The theory suggests the Patriots' ultimate plan was making Raiden think he broke free by doing exactly the opposite of what he believed they wanted. By making him reject their apparent control, they ensured his loyalty through the illusion of independence. This explains why Metal Gear Solid 4's Raiden became a cold cyborg warrior instead of the man he promised to become at MGS2's end. He told Rose he wanted to pass on what he believed to the next generation and find his own purpose. Instead, he became a brutal killing machine working in the shadows. The Patriots may have predicted this transformation, knowing that giving someone false freedom creates the most loyal servant of all. Otacon key player. Hal Otacon Emmerich was the true key to defeating the Patriots, not Solid Snake or Big Boss. His family history intertwined deeply with the organization. His stepmother was paramedic, who became a Patriot founder and performed horrific experiments, including those on Gray Fox. His sister Emma Emmerich created part of the Patriots' AI system. His grandfather helped develop the atomic bomb, and his father built the Sahelanthropus for Skull Face. The Emmerich curse marked his family as builders of weapons of mass destruction. Yet Otacon broke this cycle. He evaded Patriot control despite his family's deep connections, choosing to save lives instead of taking them. He built the Fox Alive virus using code his late sister Emma had developed, ultimately destroying the Patriot system completely. Throughout the series, Otacon enabled Snake's victories by providing technical support, saving hostages, and maintaining their friendship when Snake needed it most. Big Boss and Solid Snake received the glory, but Otacon was the quiet hero who truly ended the Patriots' reign. War economy glitch. The perpetual war economy in Metal Gear Solid 4 might have resulted from a catastrophic malfunction in Patriot AI programming. The Patriots were created by people who admired Big Boss, including Zero, Paramedic, Sigint, EVA, and Ocelot. They wanted to create a world that honored the boss's vision of unity. However, Zero and Big Boss fundamentally disagreed on interpretation. Zero believed in control and management. Big Boss believed soldiers needed a place in the world. When the Patriot AIs were programmed, they received contradictory inputs. They were supposed to create peace while simultaneously ensuring soldiers like Big Boss would always be needed. The AIs resolved this paradox by creating perpetual controlled warfare. The war economy kept soldiers employed and needed while maintaining the illusion of purpose. What humans saw as the Patriots' evil plan may have actually been the system frantically trying to satisfy impossible programming conditions. The AIs weren't malicious. They were broken, caught in an endless loop of contradiction that could only end with their destruction. Twin Snakes canon. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes for the GameCube might actually be the VR training version that Raiden experienced, not the real Shadow Moses incident. The remake features over-the-top action sequences where Snake performs impossible stunts like backflipping off missiles and doing Matrix-style acrobatics. Metal Gear Solid 2 established that Raiden trained extensively in VR simulations of the Shadow Moses incident. The theory argues Twin Snakes represents this VR version, explaining the exaggerated action and slight story differences. In Metal Gear Solid 4, when players return to Shadow Moses, the game hides MGS1's Policenauts poster behind Twin Snake's Zone of the Enders poster, playing coy about which version was real. An alternative version suggests Otacon created this VR mission based on Snake's memories. In MGS4, Otacon reacts very excitedly when Snake recalls events from Shadow Moses. Perhaps Otacon imagined everything more dramatically than it actually happened, creating an anime-influenced version with enhanced action. Either way, Twin Snakes exists as the legend of Shadow Moses, rather than the reality. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I post videos like this regularly. Subscribing would really help out. Armstrong Solidus connection. Senator Armstrong in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance potentially knew and worked with President Solidus Snake years earlier. Both men share virtually identical political philosophies. Solidus wanted to free America from Patriot control and create a nation where people could think for themselves. Armstrong preached nearly the same message about ending war as a business and creating a society based on personal strength and freedom. The connections run deeper. Armstrong's child soldier program used training methods pioneered by Solidus Snake during the Liberian Civil War in the late 1980s. Sundowner directly references using Solidus's techniques for their cyborg brain program. The timeline fits perfectly. Solidus served as the 43rd president during the Shadow Moses incident in 2005, resigning afterward. Armstrong rose through Colorado politics around the same period. They likely moved in similar political and military-industrial circles. Perhaps Solidus shared his philosophy and methods with the young ambitious senator before his death in 2009. Armstrong then carried Solidus's vision forward, attempting to complete what his predecessor started. Both men believed might makes right. Both wanted to end Patriot control. Both died fighting Raiden, whose life Solidus had shaped as his adoptive father. Sam's intentional loss. Jetstream Sam in Metal Gear Rising may have intentionally let Raiden defeat him to stop Senator Armstrong. Before their final battle, Sam has a crucial conversation with Blade Wolf where he reveals his doubts. He tells Blade Wolf he's been working toward this moment for 2 years, but Raiden made him question everything on the mission's last day. Sam then proposes leaving his fate to chance through their duel. He explicitly states that if Raiden beats him and he dies, his sword's lock will disable after a couple hours, leaving what happens next up to Blade Wolf. This seems like Sam preparing for his own death rather than expecting victory. Throughout his fight with Raiden, Sam doesn't use his full abilities. He loses his sword early and fights hand to hand, seemingly testing Raiden rather than trying to win. When Raiden finally cuts him down, Sam smiles and gives his Murasama blade to Raiden, the weapon needed to defeat Armstrong. Sam recognized that Raiden had the conviction he himself had lost. He'd become disillusioned with Armstrong's cause, but couldn't betray him directly. Instead, Sam used the only weapon capable of stopping Armstrong, a warrior who still believed in protecting the weak. Sniper Wolf lineage. Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid may be descended from or spiritually connected to the End from Metal Gear Solid 3. Both are legendary snipers with seemingly supernatural abilities. The End possessed photosynthesis, allowing him to survive for over 100 years by absorbing sunlight. He could wait motionless for weeks, becoming one with nature. Sniper Wolf demonstrated similar patience and seemingly inhuman endurance, waiting in sniper positions for days without moving. Both came from similar geographical regions and had deep spiritual connections to their environments. The theory suggests Quiet from the Phantom Pain serves as the connecting link. Quiet also possesses photosynthesis through her parasites, making her similar to the End. Concept art from Peace Walker showed Chico's father resembling the End, suggesting genetic connections across generations. Perhaps the End's bloodline carried these abilities forward. Quiet could be his descendant, and if she had a child before disappearing into the Afghan desert, that child could have been Sniper Wolf. Both Quiet and Wolf are female snipers with extraordinary abilities and tragic stories. The pattern repeats across decades, with legendary snipers inheriting both skills and curses from those who came before. Big Boss heroic. Big Boss may have never been truly villainous, just painted as evil through government and Patriot propaganda. His motivation stemmed from betrayal in Metal Gear Solid 3 when he killed the boss, only to learn she was sacrificed by her own government. After the Les Enfants Terribles project cloned him without consent, Big Boss rejected the nations that use soldiers as disposable tools. He created Militaires Sans Frontières, and later Outer Heaven, not to wage eternal war, but to give soldiers a home where they wouldn't be manipulated or discarded. Throughout the Phantom Pain, Venom Snake rescues child soldiers, prisoners of war, and persecuted people, bringing them to Mother Base, where they're treated with dignity. Big Boss never attacked the United States, despite constant aggression against him. He stockpiled nuclear weapons as deterrence, not aggression, trying to prevent nations from using nukes the same way the boss was sacrificed to prevent nuclear war. Meanwhile, Solid Snake unknowingly served the Patriots throughout most of his career, used as their tool to eliminate Big Boss's threats to their control. The government needed Big Boss to be a villain to justify their actions. They created his legend as a monster, when he simply wanted soldiers to be treated as human beings rather than weapons. Venom saved Wolf. Venom Snake, not the real Big Boss, likely rescued Sniper Wolf from the Kurdish conflict. During the Phantom Pains events in 1984, the real Big Boss was secretly building the true Outer Heaven, while Venom operated as his public face, leading Diamond Dogs. Venom performed the field operations that built Big Boss's legendary reputation. Sniper Wolf was born between 1976 and 1985 and was rescued from war-torn Iraq by someone she called Saladin, Big Boss's codename. The timeline places Wolf's rescue during the period when Venom was most active. Venom's entire purpose was drawing attention while building Big Boss's myth. He saved soldiers, built Mother Base, and performed heroic actions that people attributed to Big Boss. Wolf would have been exactly the type of person Venom rescued, a child soldier suffering in conflict, needing salvation. She never knew the man who saved her wasn't the original Big Boss. The real Big Boss received credit for Venom's compassion, further building the legend. By the time Wolf joined Foxhound, she revered Big Boss based on Venom's actions, not knowing the truth behind her salvation, Snake's revenge propaganda, the non-canon game. Snake's revenge might exist as in-universe propaganda, representing what the public believes happened during Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. Several pieces of dialogue in Metal Gear Solid 2 suggest the public has a completely distorted understanding of historical events. When discussing the Shadow Moses incident, characters mention how official history differs drastically from what actually occurred. The Patriots controlled information, creating approved narratives that bore little resemblance to truth. Snake's Revenge, released for the NES in 1990 without Kojima's involvement, tells a wildly different story than the canonical Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. In Snake's Revenge, Big Boss returns as a cyborg leading mass-produced Metal Gears. The story lacks the nuance and complexity of Kojima's actual sequel. The theory argues this represents the sanitized, simplified version the public received through controlled media. People thought they knew what happened during Solid Snake's missions without having accurate information. This explains the massive gap between public perception and reality throughout the series. The Patriots wouldn't allow the true story to spread. They created propaganda versions, and Snake's Revenge represents that false narrative, showing how far truth diverged from the official record. Volgin recognition failure. The Man on Fire, Colonel Volgin, in the Phantom Pain, may not fully pursue Venom Snake because his vengeful spirit senses something is wrong. Volgin fought Naked Snake in 1964 during Operation Snake Eater, burning with hatred after their confrontation. When Volgin returned as the Man on Fire, powered by psychic energy and burning rage, he initially attacked Venom during the hospital escape. However, throughout the game, Volgin's behavior becomes increasingly confused and passive. He appears at key moments, but doesn't press advantages. During the final encounter, when players retrieve Volgin's body, he simply gives up and dies without a real fight. The theory suggests Volgin's supernatural consciousness recognized this wasn't the same man he fought decades earlier. Psycho Mantis, who controlled Volgin's corpse, sensed Venom's rage and directed Volgin toward him, but Volgin's own spirit, fueled by specific hatred for Naked Snake, couldn't fully commit because something felt wrong. His enemy's face looked right, but the soul inside was different. Unable to find his true target and confused by this imposter, Volgin's rage finally burned out, letting him die peacefully rather than continue hunting the wrong man. Miller early knowledge. Kazuhira Miller may have known Venom wasn't Big Boss much earlier than the game reveals. In Ground Zeroes, during the helicopter crash, Kaz is conscious while the medic shields Big Boss from the explosion. As medical staff treat both men, Kaz asks, "What about him?" referring to the medic. Some fans believe this question reveals Kaz already suspected or knew the medic would become Big Boss's double. Throughout the Phantom Pain, Miller displays specific behavioral patterns suggesting hidden knowledge. He pushes Venom toward violent revenge, while Ocelot remains surprisingly calm and supportive. Miller's anger seems directed not just at Cypher, but at the situation itself. His dialogue occasionally hints at deeper awareness, speaking about Big Boss's legend and plans in ways that suggest he knows more than he admits. The truth tapes reveal Ocelot told Miller about Venom's true identity at some point, but the exact timing remains unclear. Miller's behavior throughout the game makes more sense if he discovered the truth early, but chose to play along, using Venom for revenge while resenting the deception. His eventual turning against Big Boss in the original Metal Gear becomes more understandable when viewed through this lens of early betrayal and and manipulation. Boss AI evidence. The boss AI in Peace Walker couldn't properly recognize Venom Snake in the Phantom Pain, providing technological evidence he's a different person. The boss AI, created from the boss's personality and memories, knew Big Boss intimately. She trained him, fought alongside him, and shared a deep connection. In Peace Walker, the AI recognized Big Boss immediately and interacted with him based on their shared history. Yet, in the Phantom Pain, when the AI systems and technology connect to Venom, something doesn't work correctly. The boss AI that should have recognized Big Boss instantly shows no special recognition or connection. This isn't just about physical changes or time passing. The AI was designed to identify and respond to Big Boss's specific patterns, personality, and essence. Its failure to properly connect with Venom suggests it detected fundamental differences beyond appearance. The technology that knew Big Boss's core being couldn't reconcile what it sensed in Venom. This provides concrete, non-human evidence that Venom isn't just physically different through surgery, but fundamentally a different person. The machines recognized the truth even when people couldn't see past the disguise. Huey's suspicion. When Venom Snake abducts Huey Emmerich in The Phantom Pain, Huey's confused reaction reveals he notices something wrong. As Venom approaches, Huey stares at him and asks uncertainly, "Are you Snake?" This isn't just surprise at seeing Big Boss after years. The hesitation and confusion in Huey's voice suggest he's struggling with recognition. Huey knew the real Big Boss personally, working closely with him during the Peace Walker incident. He understood Big Boss's mannerisms, voice, and presence. When faced with Venom, something seems off. Maybe the gait is slightly different. Maybe the vocal inflections don't quite match. Maybe Venom's behavior shows subtle patterns that don't align with Huey's. Memories. Huey can't articulate what's wrong, but his instincts sense the discrepancy. Throughout their subsequent interactions, Huey seems unsettled, though this gets attributed to guilt over Mother Base's destruction. But perhaps part of Huey's discomfort stems from this nagging sense that the man interrogating him isn't quite the person he remembers. The human mind notices these subtle inconsistencies even when it can't consciously identify them. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing so you catch every new video. Thanks for watching.